Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutane Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare. You don't know the mantra? Do you know the mantra? Can you say the mantra for us one time? Yes, you. Hare Krishna. You memorized it. Very good. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutade Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. So I switched gears a little bit because I'm going to be here for some extra days. Thanks to a hurricane. The temple president said, no lights, no fans, no air conditioning, really hot. Can't charge your phone, you can't use your computer. I think it's best if you postpone your visit. So, and they don't know how long it'll take to get the electricity back. So, therefore, I decided to go back a little bit, the first of the demon-killing pastimes that Krishna enacted, Canto 10, Chapter 6. Krishna's killing of Putana. And one of the reasons for choosing this is there's 4 parts to this. It's going to take about an hour and a half times 4 to cover one pastime. Whoa. In part because there are fundamental teachings and there's lots of commentary by our commentators. So you'll hear lots of different angles of vision on this pastime. We'll start with a statement made by Uddhava to Vidura in Canto 2, Chapter 3. What Uddhava says to Vidura, because Vidura is on pilgrimage and he's visiting holy... Vidura went on pilgrimage because, not just because he was offended. I mean, he's a great saintly person. He doesn't leave because he's offended. He realized there's no service for him in Hastinapur. He tried and Duryodhana, not just because Duryodhana insulted him, but it's useless. There's no practical service for me. I've been in this contaminating association, let me become purified. So he went on pilgrimage for purification, holy places for a long period of time, more than a year. And one of the places he visited was Prabhas. And he found out when he visited Prabhas that Krishna had departed this world. Not only Krishna departed this world, the whole Yadu dynasty and the whole of Dwarka sank into the sea. He knew all of that. Krishna's gone, Balaram's gone, Ugrasena's gone, the whole shebang is gone. He was very sad, needless to say, but he carried on with his pilgrimage, and in the course of the pilgrimage, he happened in a forest to find Uddhava. And when you see Uddhava, you think of Krishna, right? Because they're so intimately connected, just like Arjuna, and you think of Krishna. How can you not think of Krishna when you think of Arjuna? And even more intimately associated with Krishna was Uddhava, in many levels at least. So you saw Vidura saw Uddhava. Not like, hey, what are you doing in the forest here, man? Like, it was like that. He thought of Krishna. And he started asking, how is Krishna? How is Balaram? How is Rukmini? How is Satyabhama? How are all the associates of Krishna? He knew, he just didn't want to say. Uddhava couldn't speak. He was immersed. He knew, Uddhava knew, Krishna had departed. Balaram had departed. Krishna's gone. He's not going to see Krishna again. He was too emotional. He couldn't speak. And then he spoke. And this is his words he spoke. How shall I take shelter of one more merciful than Lord Krishna, who granted the position of mother to the she-demon Putana, although she was faithless and had prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast? Who can be more merciful than Lord Krishna? And then his Krishna button being pressed, he started speaking about Krishna. And more and more and more. And then he covered a quick summary of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes out of Vrindavan. He just went on and on and on. Because he's so absorbed in thought of Krishna. So the idea of what we're doing is also to become absorbed in thought of Krishna by hearing about Krishna. Hearing from Krishna or hearing about Krishna. The Bhagavatam is, even in Canto 1, not just, you don't have to wait till Canto 10. The topics are in relation to Krishna. Here's something that Prabhupada writes in Krishna book. There's 2 slides. The transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna are so powerful that simply by hearing, reading, and memorizing this book, Krishna, one is sure to be transferred to the spiritual world, which is ordinarily very difficult to achieve. One of my godbrothers is named Dravida Prabhu. Dravida Prabhu is one of the editors for the BBT, and Dravida has memorized Krishna book. You just like press, what chapter would you like to hear? You press the button, and he recites it. And Arudha, he doesn't just recite it. It's like Badahari and Kirtan. He radiates. He loves Krishna. He loves Krishna book, and therefore he loves Krishna. And he took these words that Prabhupada wrote in Krishna books very seriously. So we may not have I don't have a good memory, but hearing and reading, fine. Same section. The description of the pastimes of Lord Krishna is so attractive that it automatically gives us an impetus to study repeatedly. And the more we study the pastimes of the Lord, the more we become attached to him. So if you want to become attached to Krishna, you know what to do, along with chanting of the holy name. Hear the pastimes of Krishna. So there are different descriptions of the past life of Putana. The reason of different narrations is because each day of Brahma, there's a cast of characters. They may carry the same name, but they're not all in their past lives the same personality or the same situation. So here's 4 from Brahma Vaivarta Purana. We find that Putana in her last life was Ratnamala. In some cases, in Garga Samhita, for example, it says she was the daughter, and in Brahma Vaivarta Purana, she's the younger sister of Bali Maharaj. And she, Ratnamala, was present. There she is standing behind Bali Maharaj, and there's little Vamana, and he's offering water to receive the Brahmana, Vamana Dev. And she felt love. She felt maternal affection towards this little dwarf Brahmana. As soon as Ratnamala had set her eyes on the Lord, she desired that he might become her son, wishing to suckle him out of maternal affection. Vamana recognized this. Feeling obliged to her father, his pure devotee, and understanding her heart, addressed Ratnamala, promising, and he kept his promise, that whatever desires she was cherishing at that moment would be fulfilled. However, check it out, there she is watching in the background. When Ratnamala saw how Lord Vamanadev tricked her father and tied him up like a vagabond, she became angry and bitter. So the mood shifted. Looking at the Lord, she thought maliciously, if you become my son, then not only will I feed you, I will kill you. Now, that wasn't a promise to be fulfilled, but that's what happened. According to the original benediction that Lord Vamanadev had offered, Ratnamala would have the opportunity to suckle him as her child. However, because her sentiments had now swung so violently in the opposite extreme, by exercise of his unlimited intelligence, Lord Vamanadev ingeniously supplied the solution by smoothly incorporating the suitable reactions to both diverse desires in a single event. So that's Brahma Vaivarta Purana, similar, very similar to Garga Samhita. And here's another version from Garga Samhita. Similar, but a little different. When she, Ratnamala, saw the form of Vamanadev in Bali Maharaj's yagya, she felt feelings of love. So it's similar, but a little different. And there was some benediction, special detail. Bali is a descendant of Prahlad Maharaj, right? Who was Bali Maharaj's father and the son of Prahlad Maharaj? Virochana. So, because Prahlad Maharaj was given the benediction that his successive generations would be protected, when Lord Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, he guaranteed Prahlad Maharaj that he would never again personally kill any members of succeeding generations in Prahlad Maharaj's dynasty. This promise also extended to cover family members in their next lives as well. So the Lord keeps his promise. There's a trick. Sahashika was one of the sons of Bali Maharaj, who was a grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj had a son. In his next life, Sahashika became Dhenukasura in Krishna Lila. So Krishna didn't kill him, but Balaram killed him. You got it? Bali Maharaj had a son. His son was Sahashika, or grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. And there was this benediction. So in Sahashika's next life, he became Dhenukasura. So Krishna wouldn't kill him, because he made this promise. He had Balaram kill him, no problem. Krishna is very clever. Now, if he had Balaram killed Dhenukasura, then how is it that he, Krishna, killed Putana, who is Dhenuka's sister? According to scriptures, we find that because Putana was a female, she did not officially qualify as a member of her great-grandfather's dynasty, and for this reason was eligible to be killed by Lord Krishna himself. Very clever. Got it? Should we do it again? You didn't get it.
Balaram could kill Dhenukasura, because I heard that Balaram is actually like an expansion of Krishna.
Balaram's an expansion of Krishna, but he's not Krishna. So we had Balaram kill him. Is that sorted out for you? Okay. Okay, those are two examples of who was Putana in her previous life. Very similar, but slightly different. Here's a third example. And for those of you that received the Bindu magazine, that's a publication that Madhavananda circulates every other week, I think, bi-weekly, fortnightly. So in this very recent issue, there's a discussion about from Adi Purana. There's this history of who was Putana in her previous life. It's a different explanation. So their narration is long, it's like 6 pages, but there was a Brahmana couple, husband and wife, called Shivanta. Shivanta was the husband, that's this fellow on the right, nice Brahmana, and his wife, Charumati, and they did nice service together, serving the Supreme Lord. They were Vaishnava Brahmins. However, one time her husband was out of station for some time, so she was entrusted to continue with the puja and everything on his behalf while he was gone. And something happened. Misfortune happened. His wife was visited by a Shudra who enticed her. And she was no, and he was, he was tricky. He somehow enticed her, and she cohabited with him. And in course of time, she slackened in all of her Brahminical duties and gave up all of her service. And she, in general, became an incorrigible lady. After some time, the husband came back, and he saw what was going on, and his wife had changed. So he tried and he tried and he tried again, and she was incorrigible. So then he, the husband, cursed her. You should take birth as a Rakshasa. Go ahead, as a Rakshasa, perform all sinful activities, cause big disturbance in the world, yet in the future, Krishna will kill you and give you liberation. Adi Purana. Different, but complements Madhavananda from Adi Purana. And a different version from Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Very interesting. Putana was the sister of Kamsa. What? Kamsa had a sister. She had been given mystic powers by Durvasa Muni. Very intriguing. When she entered the village, she said that so Kamsa sent her on a mission. Go find little children and little boys recently born and kill them. So she appeared in the Mathura village as the Mathura Brahmana, wife of a Mathura Brahmana. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, when Lord Krishna killed her, a great chariot came to take her to Goloka Vrindavan. I couldn't find a good picture of a nice chariot, so there's a chariot. 100 wheels, totally jewel encrusted, 10,000 chamras, and 10,000 mirrors. Try to find an image that matches that description. That's what I came up with. So, Putana's Kamsa's sister, sent on a kill mission. So different versions. Now, we know the history of Krishna's birth. Before Krishna was born, there was this omen that Kamsa heard at the marriage of his sister, or it wasn't exactly sister, but relative, kind of like sister, cousin sister, that her 8th child would kill him, and so Vasudeva somehow miraculously pacified Kamsa. Don't get the blame of killing your sister on her marriage day. That wouldn't be nice. But I'm Anakundundubi. I'm celebrated. I always keep my word. So I'll give you each child that's born. So here's the first child, and with each of the children, as the image in the lower right shows, he took the child by the heels, raised the child in the air, and smashed the child on a stone slab. Newborn child, nice guy. 6 sons. Then comes number 7. Balaram appeared, and after Balaram appeared, while he was in the womb of Devaki, he was transferred by Yogamaya to the womb of Yashoda and took birth Rohini took birth as the child of Rohini. Then Krishna was born in the prison house of Kamsa. We know the whole story. There's a little child, and then Krishna showed his four-armed form, so that he would know he's not just a little child. And so they knew. And before he assumed the little child form, he said, I'm going to assume a child form, and you, Vasudeva, in the image on the right, take me from the prison and place me by the side of Yashoda. This evening she's also giving birth. And don't worry, all the guards will fall asleep. There they are, asleep. And don't worry, the gates are locked, the prison, but the gates will open, no problem. And it's a big storm out, no problem. The hoods of Anantashesh will protect you. So he crossed the river Jamuna and placed little Krishna by the side of Yashoda, took the female child that was by the side of Yashoda and brought the female child back. Kamsa tried to kill the female child and said, well, you know what he said? You know what he said? The female child? Kamsa heard that the 8th child of Devaki was born, so he came rushing to the prison. And they tried to plead with him. He was impossible. He grabbed the child, same program, lifted the child when he was ready to smash the 8th child, and she slipped from his hand, rose in the air, the form of Durga appeared and said, Kamsa, you are such a fool. Amara's making her plan for the next drama. The 8th child of Devaki is already born and will kill you. So the 8th child of Devaki was in the care of Yashoda and Nanda. And so Nanda had been entrusted in looking after Rohini. So he, Nanda, raised the 2 boys, almost the same age. Balaram was a little bit older, but almost the same age. And he took care of them very nicely. And slowly, their childhood pastimes. And Krishna had his natural affinity for cows. The Supreme Brahman, taking the form of a human being, descended on earth and assumed the mood of a village boy, cowherd boy. This is Nanda Vrindavan Champu. Although he appeared like an ordinary human being to common people, Sri Krishna was famous as the beautiful form of supreme transcendence, has a completely pure spiritual body, manifesting along with his divine consort. He fully satisfied the minds of everyone. So Krishna is just a little boy, but he loves cows, and the cows love him. He enjoys with Balaram, he enjoys playing upon the flute. Somehow this slide is out of place. There's Durga. Somehow. In Mathura, King Kamsa had previously tried to kill the 8th child of Devaki, who appeared as the personification of Yogamaya, or Durga. At that time, Yogamaya severely rebuked Kamsa, who was known as Kalanemi in his previous life. Kalanemi in Kamsa's previous life. Here it is. You fool, what benefit will you get by killing me? The one who will kill you has already taken birth somewhere else. So the somewhere else, he's believes it. I'm going to be killed by this somewhere else child. So I have to find that somewhere else child. And remembering his past enmity towards Lord Vishnu, is Kalanemi, there's a long story, that cruel and wicked Kamsa then tactfully sent Putana Rakshasi to Vrindavan to kill baby Krishna. So we have 2 versions of who she was, or in her previous life, but a Rakshasi nonetheless. And Nanda Vrindavan Champu describes her. She was as foreboding as an evil planet. She brought inauspiciousness. Mangale Byopi Mangalam, that's Krishna, and she's the opposite, evil. Here's a nice painting. It shows Kamsa had an assembly, an assortment of henchmen, and one hench lady, and she is right in the front. So she, along with these other, there's another painting showing his henchmen. There's Putana right towards the front. He's going to send them all to one by one to kill Krishna, to get killed by Krishna. vinashaya cha duskritam. Ananda Vrindavan Champu writes, notice there's a nice eagle on his glove hand. So some kings keep like that. Brajaraj Nanda, having accepted the custom of ordinary people, followed the proper etiquette to protect his city, Mathura, and went to Mathura with other senior men to pay taxes to King Kamsa for their yearly milk production. The Yadus and their faithful servants accompanied him. So he went to Mathura because he's the king in Braja, which is like, the agricultural district surrounding Mathura. So he went to pay his annual taxes. When he went to pay his annual taxes, he saw Vasudeva. Now Vasudeva and Nanda were very intimately associated, so much so when the fear was there that Kamsa was going to do some dirty business, he sent one of his wives, Rohini, to be in the care of his dear friend. So they had very, very close relationship. When they saw each other, the painting showing their embracing. And he had a secret meeting. In that secret meeting, Vasudeva disclosed certain things. Kamsa had killed all of Devaki's children, at least the first 6, and he would probably seek out Krishna, and therefore Nanda Maharaj should return to Vrindavan as soon as possible and protect Krishna. One morning from one father to, he knows, Vasudeva knows that it's his son. But he's speaking to Nanda as if it's Nanda's son. So protect your son. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the killing of babies was going on and had already become known, Nanda Maharaj was very much afraid for his newborn child. Thus he, Nanda, appointed local cowherd men to protect his home and child. So there's this advice from Vasudeva: do not stay in this place many days. Better to return to Gokula, since I know there may be some disturbances there. So this is all a little summary of what precedes chapter 6, because chapter 6 is the Putana story. My dear king, so Shukadeva is speaking to Maharaj Parikshit, while Nanda Maharaj was on his way home, he's thinking, what Vasudeva had said could not be false or useless. There must have been some danger of disturbances in Gokula. As Nanda Maharaj thought about the danger for his beautiful son, Krishna, he was afraid. Now, Nanda is thinking Krishna is his son. Vasudeva is understanding it's Vasudeva's son. But he's thinking, my son. So he was afraid. And he took shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller, Narayana. So I put in strong letters here. Sankitaha. He was afraid. But he's in the spiritual world. I'm looking at Sri Radhika because she asked this question. He's in the spiritual world. How can he be afraid? How can there be any danger in the spiritual world? What? Anxiety in Goloka? I thought there was no anxiety in Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, without anxiety, right? And he's in anxiety. What's going on? There's a good answer. The residents of Vrindavan are eternally dear to Lord Krishna. And they are perfectly situated in the highest platform of spiritual happiness, free from all contact of the material energy. Nothing can touch them. No danger can touch them. No matter can touch them. They have eternal forms. They have everything. There's nothing to worry about. Always in anxiety. Canto 10, Chapter 11, which is a few chapters later. In this way, all the cowherd men headed by Nanda Maharaj enjoyed topics about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great transcendental pleasure, and they could not even perceive material tribulations. So why is he feeling some anxiety? Here's the clue from Compliments of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami teaches there are 33 vyavachari bhavas. Bhava is an ecstatic mood, and chinta is one of them. Transcendental anxiety, not the other kind. And bodily symptoms arising out of ecstatic love for Krishna, especially with parental affection. So some danger for Krishna, oh no, anxiety. Wait a minute, we're supposed to be in Vaikuntha. It's a transcendental emotion. Let's see it in reverse. As above, so below. Meaning, we don't have an experience of something without it having its pure existence in the spiritual realm. The pure existence in the spiritual realm has chinta, a vyavichari bhava. So worrying about Krishna's welfare was an ecstasy. He was in anxiety. Here's Brahma's prayers. You recognize the photograph. He's before Krishna, and Krishna is holding his left hand with a lump of yogurt, kind of nonchalantly listening to these very profound prayers of Lord Brahma. My dear master, although you have nothing to do with material existence, you come to this earth and imitate material life just to expand the varieties of ecstatic enjoyment for your surrendered devotees. So it's a stimulation. The anxiety of Nanda Maharaj is his transcendental attachment for Krishna being stimulated by anxiety. It's an attachment for Krishna being stimulated by a certain ecstasy. Here's another reference. Whenever there is danger, the pure devotee thinks of the protection and shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's one of the reasons for difficulties. There's no difficulty, but there's a perception of a difficulty, so that increased shelter taking, Rakshititi Vishvasa, so you know some of you may know, some of you may not know. There, according to Rupa Goswami's teachings, there are 6 symptoms or characteristics or angas, limbs of surrender. One of them is Krishna will always protect me. So here comes some danger. So there's some perception of danger, but it is just to inspire or stimulate and the ecstatic love of taking deeper shelter. So that's what happened. Here's a similar message from Bhagavad Gita. The material world is temporary and miserable. Anityam asukham lokam. Anityam, temporary, asukham lokam. That's this material world. It's, the miseries in the material world are perceived in one way by the materialist and perceived in another way by a transcendentalist. Do you know some devotees that are going through some hard times? I know some devotees that are going through some hard times. And it's not easy to go through hard times. So why? They're devotees, they're nice. Some, it can be this and that and the other thing. It can be very, 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 very difficult. I mean, this is a little bit like, again, Sri Radhika's question about devotee care, and we're not supposed to have feelings, right? We're supposed to be above concerned about the body, because after all, we're not the body. But when the general ritual of Jaravyadi, it's all about the body. I have this practice of finding out devotees, it's not everybody, but a number of devotees, their birthday, when they have their birthday, I send them a little note. I sent one to Govinda. Yeah, there's nothing wonderful about birthdays. It's just tribulation. Why are you wishing me a happy birthday? It's the source of misery. It's like, okay. But because you're a devotee, if you use the body properly, we say happy birthday to a devotee for a different reason than a non-devotee. Because it's a privilege, it's a special opportunity, human form of life, having been introduced to bhakti. How are you going to do kirtan without your body? Govinda Prabhu. So use your body in the proper ways. So there's this nice devotee having kirtan. In this material world, there's danger at every step. This is again Brahma's prayers. Padam, padam, yadvi padam. Therefore, a devotee has no other course than to take shelter of the Lord at every step. Now we're going back to this Bhagavatam verse. First verse. We're about halfway through the slides for this evening. We're just on verse 1. So this is Jiva Goswami, and the personality on the right there is Nanda Maharaj. Nanda surrendered in his mind to Hari, he who destroys all fears, because he was feeling fearful for his son. Since Vishnu was his family deity, for the auspiciousness of his son. So he was interested, he's a father, interested in the auspiciousness of his son, so he's taking shelter of Vishnu, or Hari, to give protection. Or, this is Jiva Goswami's rendering of this first verse, the information could not be false, that's what he heard from Vasudeva. On the way back, he especially thought of his son, most attractive, thinking, I do not know what news is there. He returned to his house. And here she comes, Putana. I'm going to skip this because of time. Here's the second verse. While Nanda Maharaj was returning to Gokula, there she is, the same fierce Putana whom Kamsa had previously engaged to kill babies was wandering about in the towns, cities, and villages, doing her nefarious duty, killing babies. That was her program. She's not a nice lady. So here she is looking for any child newborn, doesn't matter, a boy, new one. No children were killed, although she was searching. Then Jiva Goswami comments, only children connected with Kamsa were killed. Jiva Goswami has a lot to say about this pastime. This verse tells the news of Vraja. Though previously his ministers persuaded him to afflict the sages, fearful Kamsa agreed that Putana should go to kill the infants as a simultaneous method for safety before harassing the sages. They're pretty nasty, both of these. She was first engaged because she was ferocious in killing infants. She killed them completely by giving them her poisoned breast. They died immediately, there she is doing her thing. Vishnu Purana says, in a moment, Putana killed any child to whom she offered her breast. And there's a nice BTG article on this whole pastime. Such witches can play their black art only where there is no chanting or hearing of the holy name of Krishna. She wasn't faring so well in Vrindavan because they always chant Krishna's name, just talking about Krishna. It is said wherever the chanting of the holy name of Krishna is done, even neglectfully, all bad elements, witches, ghosts, and dangerous elements are driven away. And this is certainly true of the place where the chanting of the holy name of Krishna is done seriously, especially in Vrindavan, when the Supreme Lord was personally present. Therefore, the doubts of Nanda Maharaj were certainly based on affection for Krishna. In other words, he's little, he's just very, very young, but he's the talk of the town. So they're speaking Krishna's name again and again and again. And Nanda is a Vaishnava, he knows what the effect of that is. However, his affection for Krishna even clouds his other knowledge. Actually, there was no danger from the activities of Putana because people are chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. That's the message. And from that same BTG article, the Sanskrit word for a witch is kechari. They can fly in the sky. You know, the Western thing is they ride on a broomstick, go sailing through the air. There's a full moon in the background, and they've got a big black hat and crooked nose, and Kechari. The black art of witchcraft is still practiced by some women in the remote northwestern side of India. They can transfer themselves from one place to another on the branch of an uprooted tree. So we just normally see it's like a broomstick with twigs coming out in the other end. Putana knew this witchcraft, and therefore she is described in the Bhagavatam as Kechari. She's looking for children to kill. Moving right along, we're the third verse already. Again, this is Shukadev speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. Wherever people in any position perform their occupational duty of devotional service by chanting and hearing, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present. But we certainly allow or honor. Nanda Maharaj has chinta, he has some anxiety because of his attachment for Krishna and parental affection. Here's Prabhupada's purport. Shukadev Goswami spoke this verse to mitigate the anxiety of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee of the Lord, and therefore, when he understood that Putana was causing disturbances in Gokula, he was somewhat perturbed. Shukadev Goswami therefore assured him there was no danger in Gokula. And hearing from, there's Maharaj Parikshit kneeling humbly before Shukadev Goswami. Just hearing from Shukadev Goswami, he became peaceful. And that's the effect of chanting. This is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, Gitavali. Understand this essential fact. What's that? Life is temporary and full of all kinds of miseries, so take shelter of the holy name as your only business. There's the Hare Krishna mantra. And a nice little photograph of Radha Krishna. Jiva Goswami has some things to say about this verse. It was said that Putana killed children in the towns and villages. What happened to Nanda's boys? Answer. This verse answers. There were no hearing during sacrifices and other duties, mainly for attaining one's material goals. What to speak of not having hearing as the main item the demons will afflict. Hearing about the devotees destroys the demons. What to speak of hearing about the Lord? The word cha means to or but, or can mean other wicked persons. Certainly such persons will be strong in those places. So it's to pacify the mind of the person who is hearing. Maharaj Pariksit looked worried. He's telling a pastime that already transpired, but hearing about Putana's coming and making trouble, he's concerned for the residents of Vrindavan. So Shukadeva interrupts the flow of the Leela to reassure Maharaj Pariksit. Because there's this because of Krishna's presence and the constant chanting of Krishna's name because of their affection for Krishna, Putana can't do anything. Meaningless. I'm going to skip this. I'll just read this part here in the red. The coming of demons was for the purpose of increasing the pastimes of the Lord, which produced bliss for all people. These disturbances arranged by the Lord are produced by the Lord's Leela Shakti, according to the Lord's rasas, in order to increase Yashoda's prema for Krishna, and it worked. The Leela Shakti is composed of Shri, Bhu, and Leela. So there's three. There's these. This is what he's doing. Is he's giving terminology, like definitions of terms. So it's an important thing to do. In different pictures, different circles, different sampradayas, they have different ways of using these different terminologies. Jiva Goswami is familiar. Shri, Bhu, and Leela, or sometimes Shri, Bhu, and Neela. So Leela Shakti has these three divisions. It's all part of Krishna's internal potency or Swarup Shakti. These three Shaktis of Vaikuntha are well known in the Padma Purana. It's just like you've seen altars that are where the forms of the Lord are worshipped by Sri Vaishnavas. There's a form of the Lord, and then there's the Utsav Murtis. There's the form of the Lord, the festival, deity, and then either side, Shri and Bhu. Standard from Padma Purana. These are Shaktis through whom the Supreme Lord does what he does. He engages his internal potencies in various ways and expansions of those internal potencies to different things in this material world. But it's all arising from his potencies. This Shakti, that's Leela Shakti, is described as Tulasi and Vrinda in the Kartik Mahatmya of Padma Purana. So we hear in Krishna, in our understanding of Krishna's pastimes, we hear about Vrinda Devi, isn't it? Krishna wants something. Vrinda Devi, help me. Right away. So Vrinda is always pictured with having a parrot, a green parrot on her hand. And she has a whole bunch of parrots that are She has two principal parents, and they carry messages and do things. So Vrinda, she is called Vrinda in Krishna's pastimes and lives in Vrindavan. So who's that Vrinda? In context, that's how Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnavas think of Vrinda, but she's Leela Shakti. She's assisting the Supreme Lord when he wants to perform Leelas. He just, hey, Vrinda, help me out. I mean, he doesn't need help, but she's giving his Swarup Shakti, his Leela Shakti, some service, and she's very happy to do service. She figures out how to do everything because Krishna gives her the intelligence how to do everything and the power to do what she does. It's just pastimes, just a flow of pastimes. And there's different personalities, and there's obstacles, and there's overcoming obstacles, and there's ecstasy, and there's tribulation, and there's, the pastimes flow very spontaneously. Sometimes it's stormy, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. And Krishna's potencies are arranging everything for his pleasure and for the pleasure of the devotees. And when some difficulty comes, what's being spoken of here is Putana's in town. And Nanda Maharaj is in anxiety. As a father would naturally be in anxiety. And he knows what's up. Vasudeva told him, watch your backside. He's going to try to Kamsa's, he's ruthless. He's going to try to kill your son. So protect your son. So he's in anxiety of paternal affection because there's an obstacle. It's nice. I mean, doesn't make you, you don't hear these and become numb. You still have feelings. Besides, it's very exciting. And Krishna's going to win. But there's a little excitement. And Krishna's enjoying the excitement as he's enjoying engaging his potencies, and they're enjoying being engaged. And there's danger. Here comes Putana. Here's a reference from Bhakti Sandarbha. It's in relation to Hiranyakashipu and is trying to harass Prahlad. But it's the same, the harassment, that the principle is being spoken of. Bhakti removes fear of wicked jivas. Take shelter of bhakti is the message from Maharaj Parikshit, from Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Krishna's there, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. When Hiranyakashipu could not kill his innocent son by throwing him beneath the feet of big elephants, throwing him among huge snakes, employing destructive spells, hurling from the tops of hills, conjuring up illusory tricks, imprisoning him, administering poison, starving him, exposing him to severe cold winds, fire, water, throwing heavy stones on him to crush him, he began to contemplate the situation deeply. He couldn't succeed in killing his son. He's powerful, Hiranyakashipu. Who can stop me? So the message, all of this is that his father is feeling fear based upon what he heard from Vasudeva. Vishnu Purana says, the elephant tusks were harder than thunderbolts, but Prahlad did not feel them. Those the elephants trying to crush him, etc. Here's Srila Prabhupada, we're almost done. From Narada Purana, when a person worships Vishnu, there are no obstacles. No wicked kings, no thieves, no illness, pretas, pishachas, kushmandas, etc., etc. They do not obstruct the worshipper of Vishnu or the Rakshasi Putana. Can't stop. So Prabhupada, knowing this, went into the midst of bad place, New York City, during that period of time and transformed it fearlessly and made a matchless gifts little storefront into a Radha Krishna temple. Almost done. Here's a reference from Canto 3, Chapter 22. Again, it talks with Vidura. Oh, Vidura, how can miseries arising from the body, mind, ghosts, other humans, or natural conditions bind up a person who has taken shelter of the Lord? So here's a person who looks like he's in a coma or something, but he's thinking of the lotus feet of Krishna. So just thinking of the lotus feet of Krishna, that's when there's protection from bad elements. And this is the last slide. So this is how Maharaj Ambarish was protected by the fiery demon that was created by Durvasa Muni, because Durvasa Muni was envious of Maharaj Ambarish. Without all the detail, he created by mantra this fiery demon and pointed to Maharaj Ambarish, kill him. That was a big mistake. When a person's mind is fixed on Vishnu, the curse of Durvasa Muni and the thunderbolt of Indra cannot harm him. Now, it's certainly the body can be harmed. But even when the body is harmed, the soul cannot be harmed by material circumstance. Now, in this case, Maharaj Ambarish even his body was not harmed, but quite the opposite. Durvasa Muni was in big trouble. Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo. So just fix the mind on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That's the third verse of chapter 6, the story of Putana. And it gets very interesting. This is just kind of setting the stage for the pastime. So let's see if there's some discussion. Yes. I think I should speak less and allow more discussion. But the topics are so nice. Whoa, that one works. The other one didn't work.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
He's turning the dials as you speak.
Hare Krishna.
There.
The question,
Why did Krishna?
Putana, even though she was the descendant of a pure devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, and one of the slides said
And Bali
that,
Maharaj.
and Bali Maharaj too. And one of the slides said that is because she was a daughter and not direct. I forget the exact wording in that slide.
I got what you're referring
Right.
to. So what's the deal?
And so I went back to that verse in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Which one?
This was 7:10:18, and this is the verse spoken by the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Prahlad, O most pure, O greatly saintly person, your father has been purified, along with 21 fathers in your family. Because you were born in this family, the entire dynasty has been purified." And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Since Lord mentions 21 forefathers, this indicates the benediction expands to other families also.
Yes.
And, further on.
Yes.
That slide was a little unsettling for me.
Why?
Mainly because so long the context of all those verses has been remove the material desires, remove this and that, and somehow it says that benediction is restricted based on a certain, and
So what's the
why would
what's the problem? What's the trouble you're having? Gender?
gender the issue
What's the issue?
that the Supreme Lord would make a statement that seems to be restricted by a person's material body. That, especially for me as I'm understanding, everything is, they're having an exchange between Narasimhadev and Prahlad. The exchange is on a spiritual platform. And yet he would make a statement that was not on the spiritual platform is...
Oh, that's your problem. You find troubling.
I don't know, maybe I'm not able to voice my exact concern, but I don't know if you can gather what my issue is.
I think I am. I'm not sure. But the essence of the question is, how can something spiritual convey itself or be transmitted or transferred to something that's on the physical material platform?
Given the statement is spoken by the Lord himself.
Yes, okay.
Why is that seems like conditional? Somebody who came, yes, it's spoken by an acharya, but then going and putting a condition on the Lord's statement.
It's not putting a condition on the Lord's statement.
Pardon me?
It's not. I don't see it's not putting a condition on the Lord's statement. The Lord is making a promise, a pledge, and he keeps his word. And so is Krishna killing Putana in violation of his word? That's the question. That's the question that's being addressed in that little passage, because Putana was in the female body, it's a gender specific, then it's not in violation. It's not superimposing a condition on what the Lord said. What the Lord said is he kept his word. And she falls outside of that pledge, according to Vedic law or custom. Now, it's not putting a condition. Like if the irritation that you have, or question or something, discomfort that you're feeling is, how can something be superimposed upon Krishna, who is all spiritual? But he's making, the pledge that he's making is descendants of will receive, as you are the pure devotee, the benediction that goes to the pure devotee goes to the descendants of the pure devotee. The descendants of the pure devotee, that's also physical or material. The material bodies, the descendants. So they may be whatever they may be. In her case, is a Rakshasi. And so, but the benediction, I will not kill, was upheld. He kept his word. I guess I'm not getting what your doubt is. Somebody else want to help her or help me understand what? And you got this expression on your face like I missed it.
I'll perhaps get back to you later.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Maharaj, in one of the more recent slides, previous slides, you had a statement about Leela Shakti.
Yes.
And Vrinda Devi as
Leela Shakti.
Leela Shakti. Could you help me understand the difference between Leela Shakti and Yogamaya, Purnamasi as also some personality who arranges?
It gets a little dicey. It's a little. what I mean is, the terminology is not always like this. Even amongst our acharyas, my experience is there's not clear cut. It's always like this, and it's always like that. It's always like that. So, Yogamaya is personified by Purnamasi. Leela Shakti is personified by Vrinda Devi in our Gaudiya way of looking at things. And this Leela Shakti has different components. According to Padma Purana, Shribu and Leela, or Neela, sometimes that word is used, Shribu and Neela. And they have functions on behalf of the internal potency. Now, what's the relationship? The question that I'm getting is, the internal potency, we commonly, conveniently just say Yogamaya, but that's not exactly what the internal potency is. The internal potency has these divisions. And the pastime potency, Leela Shakti, pastime potency, is enhanced or is facilitated by Yogamaya. So there, for example, there's many places in the writings of our acharyas, pastime events, where Vrinda Devi and Purnamasi have a little conference. They make a plan how a pastime is going to happen. And so there's not one entity, there are two entities, and they carry out a function. The function in the pastime descriptions, largely from our followers of Lord Chaitanya or Gaudiya Acharyas, is she just gives her blessings, Purnamasi. But her blessings means potencies are invested in persons to do X, Y, Z things. And then she just, smiles. Or she stops something because it's not doesn't fit with the pastime plan. So she sanctions or prevents. And then Vrinda Devi carries it out, the plan. Purnamasi doesn't carry out the plan. She just gives her blessings or says no. Or she doesn't say exactly no, but like, this isn't an auspicious time. Why don't you go left instead of right? She just, redirects things. So there's a function, and there's a person that represents the function. And it's all, in one sense, it's all part of Krishna's spiritual potencies, but they're different parts of Krishna's spiritual potencies. And I'll say it one more time. It's not that in all cases our acharyas are really consistent. This is the bucket that Purnamasi fits. And over there is the bucket that Vrinda Devi fits, and over there is the bucket that someone else, some other entity. Like, just like this mention of Tulsi Devi. She gives benedictions too. And she's personified.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yeah.
I had a question that's been on my mind for some time.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But I've noticed when devotees first join the movement, not all of them, but they can tend to enter into this like very fired up, fanatical, slightly fanatical phase in their Krishna consciousness journey.
And then?
My question is, is it realistic for one to remain in that phase for the rest of their life, or is there like some kind of transition into another phase?
That's a curious question. I know some people, I won't name names, that they're as enthusiastic today as they were day one. Now, your question is, Is it desirable, or is it okay, or is it the norm that you lose some of that rah rah rah, and you become
No.
a little more moderate? Is that
Yeah,
advisable, or is there something wrong if you become more moderate? Less rah rah rah. So enthusiasm, according to Rupa Goswami's teachings, enthusiasm should ideally be with you all the time, throughout, from beginning to the end. The shape of it may look different, may be exhibited different as well, but the enthusiasm may become more internal and less rah-rah, external. And is that fine? Yeah, that's mature. So enthusiasm should stay high, but the form that enthusiasm takes, likely, as maturity comes, the form of it becomes a little different. But if in order to progress, according to what Rupa Goswami writes, it's from beginning to end enthusiasm, utsahan. You know the verse, right? Nectar of instruction? Oh, okay. There's the first three. Utsahan means enthusiasm. Nishchayat, patience. It's like go and stop. Patience. But it's not stop. It's just sustain your enthusiasm over time. Be patient. Be enthusiastic. And if the outcome that you want doesn't happen right away, that's okay. Be patient. And what sustains the patience? I have conviction. That's the dharyat. My mind is firm. I'm being patient, and I'm consistently enthusiastic. You find it, I recommend, you're curious, you said you've had this question for some time. Read Nectar of Instruction, that verse, Utsahan Nishchayat Dharyat, one of the early verses, maybe the very first verse in Nectar of Instruction. Is that, you want more on this topic?
No, that was,
You're good.
was funny.
Okay. This microphone stand wants to keep moving. Go ahead.
Maharaj. So, what I understood is Nanda Maharaj thinks Krishna is his son, not Vasudeva's son.
Oh, yeah.
At the time. So, at some point, he must have known that Krishna is Devaki's and Vasudeva's son. Is that right?
At some point, does he
Later.
eventually come to know that? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
That's a nice question. My memory is scanning. Were there events where he came to know Krishna is not his son, but is Vasudeva and Devaki's son? I can't think of a scriptural passage that says the light went on and he accepted it. Krishna is not my son. There's a sense of possessiveness, parental affection. He has that's his eternal relationship with Krishna. So the events of birth had a little trick involved in it where he and Yashoda thought for sure Krishna is their son. And that's their relationship, eternal relationship. So was that eternal relationship interrupted? He's not really my son. I don't think so. The possessiveness is too strong. The Madhurya sense of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda is too strong. He couldn't think otherwise.
Yeah, I was curious to know what were their feelings when they know that, or even to Krishna, how did he feel that he was Vasudeva's son?
Yeah, your part 2 follows part 1, and I'm not sure even part 1 happened. Does anybody in the room have an answer to this question, a different answer to this question? Yes? After Kamsa is killed, Krishna tells
Nanda Baba to go back to Vrindavan, and he stays with Devaki and Vasudev. And Vasudev, he says, you've lived there so long, you need to go to school. In that context, I have a feeling I was trying to pull out the passage from Krishna book. I haven't figured out yet, but I think
Arudha, can you help us?
Maharaj, I remember reading there was a certain point when this happened, but I can't recollect right now. That
You have some homework assignment.
It's
Okay.
in the Krishna book.
Well, wherever wherever. She's going to enlighten us tomorrow. From scripture, just, what you find. Now, your memory, Varsana, your memory is Krishna had to go to school, but that happened in Mathura. It didn't happen in Braja. Vasudeva and Devaki, he's our son. They knew he's come back. He hasn't gone to school yet. So Upanayana and then go off to school. But how does that connect with Nanda and Yasoda? Your memory says it does somehow. You're going to look it up too. Okay, we'll have 2 reports tomorrow. Just in terms of rasa, how can Nanda think otherwise? Because it's his mood is. I mean, there are passages we'll just like we yesterday evening, Nanda came to know that he reported Gargamuni indicated his divinity, but not that he is Vasudev's son. And how did he process that statement? He may be whoever he may be. I have to take care of him. That's the possessiveness of father to son is an intrinsic part of Nanda's mood. So who he is, there's several passages where he and the residents of Braja are pondering, who is he, who is he, who is he? And he showed them the spiritual world. He showed them Vaikuntha. But that doesn't mean he's Vasudev's son. Okay. Someone else? Yes.
Maharaj, thank you for this very wonderful narration. And
It's the first part.
yes.
Yeah, you have to. Can you turn that speaker? Just point it more towards me and away from him. That's good. Okay, let's see what happens.
Yes. This question maybe relates with the previous one. We find that when Krishna leaves the gopis before the Rasa Leela, and their bhava is disturbed by his leaving.
Yes.
Then they start to sing songs about Krishna and
Yes.
about that he's the Supreme Lord, and they sort of remember his Aishwarya at that time. But when Nanda Maharaj, when he's fearful of Krishna's safety, or Mother Yashoda, when she sees Krishna on Putana, they don't start to glorify Krishna. They don't remember his Aishwarya like the gopis do. So, and actually, like followers, if I'm remembering correctly, followers of Vallabhacharya sometimes point to this and say, therefore, Mother Yashoda's affection is the highest. Yes, because she can't leave that that maternal and paternal affection. So maybe this is a comment, or maybe you have further comment on this.
Ballavacharya and our acharyas are very similar, but there's some points of digression, or there's a difference. And it's a little bit like, I mean, my sense of, in response to this statement, Krishna may, of his own accord, pull back the curtain and then close the curtain. And for his own purposes, to stimulate their ecstatic love, or to give them varieties of ecstasy, and then he closes the curtain. I would be interested to read, and then the passages, and then the commentary on those passages where the gopis speak of Krishna as the personality of Godhead. There must be some very profound commentaries on all of that, what the exact language is, and how to process it, how to understand it. Because how can they have rasa dance with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? It doesn't fit. Even if they're goddesses, if they accept that therefore they are goddess of fortune and he's Narayan and we're dancing with our husband, that's not Vrindavan. So I'd be interested to read exactly what their words are, and then I'm sure if there are those exact words or something in that direction, vast commentary must be written. Because our acharyas are very consistent about the love of the gopis is the highest. Yes, you have something.
Maharaj, we hear that within the material realm, the closest experience to spiritual love is the love of a mother.
Yeah.
And Putana chooses this most sacred relationship to violate. The betrayal of the trust is heightened because of the choice of this relationship in comparison to the other demons of Vrindavan.
Yes.
There isn't this kind of a
intimacy.
Yes. So it really heightens the drama. We heard from Radhikaraman Prabhu's class about drama in Gita Nagari.
Lots of subtlety, and therefore there's so much commentary on this pastimes. Go ahead.
So there's something about this particular Leela in comparison to other demons that just really, tugs at the heart because of such a violation of or betrayal. Just wondering if you have any comments.
Well, yeah, verse number 3 of this chapter. Maharaj Parikshit was feeling what you're expressing. I mean, not specifically betrayal, but danger. He knows Krishna can't be hurt, but he's feeling that feeling. So Shukadeva Goswami is putting some soothing balm on that feeling because he can't be hurt. He is all auspiciousness, so no worries. No, but the residents of Vrindavan, they have worries when they see what they see and so forth and so on, and they have to burn the body because who knows, some black magic may come out of some pieces of the body, so they have to burn the body, and 8 miles long, and this whole thing. They're not going to mess around. So but from the transcendental perspective, there's nothing to worry about. I spent some time today on meditating on the Kevalastika first verse some more. Madaram Madarabhyopi, Mangalabhyopi Mangalam, Pavanam Pavanabhyopi. So as with Krishna's pastimes, it's the purest of the pure, it's the all auspiciousness. So same, there's nothing, your maternal feeling of violation of the trust of that are penned in places in the mother has its place. That's the feelings of a mother. And, hear the words of Shukadev Maharaj Parikshit from Shukadev Goswami. No worries, please. Calm down. Don't get worked up. Mangalabhyopi Mangalam. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I had a question on one of the things you said about difficulties and how they're just a perception. I didn't quite understand why they're just a perception, and I was wondering if I could get some clarification.
I'm not sure what the context of a statement was. Was it something that I spoke or something that was on one of the slides?
I think it was in relation to Nanda Maharaj's fears.
So it was a statement from our acharyas.
Yes.
So he's feeling, in his case, now our case is not the same as his case, or his case is not the same as our case. In his case, he's feeling a transcendental emotion of paternal affection. He wants to give protection to his dependent. Krishna is his dependent. That's his paternal affection. And he sees danger, so his paternal affection spikes. And he feels some anxiety. But that's his paternal affection, experiencing a certain ecstasy, a certain bhava. So it's churning of transcendental emotions through attachment to Krishna. Krishna does things that spike that transcendental emotion in certain ways, and then that subsides. Then it goes to other directions, just like the flowing of a river. Now, is your question in the context of us or the transcendental Leela itself? Both. No, we're Mahamaya has got a grip on us. There's nothing transcendental about it. Okay, we're back on. You had something? Let's give you the microphone.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Speak slowly.
Thank you, Maharaj. I actually had 4 questions, but I'll only ask you one.
Utsahan. There it is.
Yeah. So my first
Do you
question.
like Rupa Goswami?
I read a little, just
Okay.
a few things by
Because
him.
yesterday I asked you if you know Raghunath Das Goswami.
Yeah, I didn't know him.
Yeah. They're good. Your bhakti life will expand, like, nicely. Not too fast, but nicely, by getting familiar with these personalities, gifts that they're really wanting to give. Really wanting to give. So your enthusiasm is one of those gifts that you've already received, and Rupa Goswami is going to fan that spark.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you. So my first question was, I remembered it when you discussed about Ratnamala.
Ratnamala. okay.
Ratnamala. So what happens is Ratnamala first, she has this intense love for Vamanadeva and she wants to have him as her son. So clearly she loves him and there's
Yes.
prema, right? Yeah. So I was wondering how she could, I wouldn't say fall down.
She fell down. She flipped.
Yeah. So
I want to kill him. That's not my mother.
So I was wondering how that could happen, because I've heard from so many devotees, and it's such a thing here, right? That once you cultivate prema, once you cultivate
Oh,
bhakti,
she's not at the stage of prema. She has maternal affection. She's not at the stage of prema. She must have this little dwarf boy. She's feeling affection. Maybe if it's possible, I'd like to become, in another life, because it's not the same life, but become mother. So it's not prema. Motherly affection. I mean, supposing, for example, just take a little off-the-shelf one. Somebody that's a mother or is in a female body that sees this little boy somewhere, wouldn't it be nice to have this little boy as my son? It's not prema. It's just motherly affection. Next question.
So my next question was about. So there are actually so many demons in Krishna's Leela and Krishna's pastimes, right? So many demons who, like I can think of
too many.
Sisupal and Kamsa, who actually repeatedly think about Krishna and what he does, and they have such intense emotion for Krishna. It's anger, but they are still thinking about him and they are
Yeah.
feeling for him. And I was wondering how they could maintain their anger after thinking about Krishna, because because I have heard, and there's I can think of a few examples in my mind of devotees who initially started by being like atheists. They didn't like God, they didn't want to believe in God, but they started with that emotion, they started questioning, thinking about God with that dislike, with that
And they
hatred.
got purified. And some of those people became purified and they did a flip. I know some people like that. So now, why it didn't happen with these other demons? Because they were really intense. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So deeply, two reasons. Deeply rooted envy, where, you bring the beauty of Krishna or the power, like Shishupal. He vile. What ticked him off, that sent it over the top, was Bhishma Dev, grandfather Bhishma Dev, who was the elder, wise, powerful, nobody can defeat him, even Parshuram can't defeat him. Bhishma Dev, glorifying Krishna. He couldn't take it. He stood up and started blasting Krishna. Anyway, because the envy is like poison. And the poison came out, Shishupal. So that's why it happens. This seemingly endless supply of poison. That's envy. Envy pollutes. Very bad. Pride and envy, these two. pride and envy. Very difficult.
So then maybe I'm understanding this wrong, but that could probably mean that if you have pride and envy, then there could be no cure for that, right?
No, I mean,
even
there
if
can
you
be.
chant-
There can be. But in some cases, the cure is Krishna kills them. No, it's not that that's the only remedy, but sometimes it stays with people for lifetimes. And with compound interest, their envy leads to further vilification, leads to further implication.
So
The poison kills them.
So because they were demons and they were like, they were probably more powerful than human beings, and their pride and envy
Yeah.
was more powerful.
Yeah.
So because we're human beings and our envy and pride might be a little less, could that mean that like it didn't work on them, but it could work on us,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
if we think about Krishna, then our pride and envy will
yes,
go.
yes. We're little people. They're big people, big demons. I want to tell you a little story, and then I think we're going to end. We'll do your other two questions tomorrow. You going to be with us tomorrow?
I will be.
Okay, very good. We'll ask you before I even start. You can ask your other two questions.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay.
Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you.
Once upon a time, I was a new devotee. About 55 years ago in Boston. And the first service I did for 1 month was wash pots. From being accepted to medical school to washing pots. And I was proud. Thinking, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, don't they know who I am? Washing pots? But I washed pots. Many things happened, and eventually, after 1 month, I finally got it. Cleaning the pots means cleaning my heart of that pride. So I really got into it. I understood it, and I really got into it. And after 1 month, someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, guess what? We found another pot washer. And would you like to come with us on Sankirtan? Because every day the devotees would go rushing out the door and joyful and on Sankirtan, and there's where I am washing pots. So I really wanted to go on Sankirtan, but I surrendered my pride. So now, first day, this is just a little how it works. The devotees, I've narrated this many times, but it's meaningful to me. We went to the Boston Common, there's a subway system in Boston, the red line, green line, and they converge, and there's a big shopping area nearby. So at lunchtime, the place was mobbed. That was our spot, Boston Common. And, the system was for half an hour we chant, and then for half an hour you go distribute invitation cards and Back to Godhead magazines. That's what we had. So in the crowd, when we were chanting, I noticed there was this hunched over, crazy looking fellow. And he would rock back and forth like this, and he was envious. It was like seething steam coming out of his ears, envy. So it was my turn to go distribute Back to Godhead magazines. And as soon as I went, he followed me right to the person, snatched the magazine from their hand, because I put it in their hand, and said, don't take this. This is da-da-da-da-da-da. Threw it on the ground and jumped up and down on it, like he was going to kill the Back to Godhead magazine. And then looked at me and sneered. Because I was a new guy. You had hair and dungarees, and I was a new guy. At the end of the second month, same guy And I was distributing back to Guided magazines and invitation cards, and he came up because he would sit and listen to the holy name for an hour every day, very regulated, weekdays, 5 days of the week. Take the magazine, it's the best thing, He was still, with spit coming out of his mouth and his head moving, and he was mad. But his heart changed. I was in disbelief. It was a good lesson. Both of them were good lessons. Many nice things happened. They're good lessons. So he's still crazy, but, crazy for Krishna instead of crazy against Krishna. His heart changed just by hearing. And I don't know if he took prasadam. Maybe he took prasadam, but he heard every day for an hour, 5 days of the week. So it has its effect. There's something, he was just crazy. He wasn't really a demon, but some people are like Shishupal and some other people. They're just envious to the max. So until we meet again tomorrow, Putana Part 2. What?
Towards China.
Oh. Okay. You know what the topic is tomorrow for the China class? Putana Part 1.
Double the nectar.
Oh, okay. Okay. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.